Hi, this is Misha, and in our continuing kind of looking back at Walthers, we're up to the P88 here, and the P88 Compact, or P88C, which really isn't a companion, it was really its replacement. We'll get to that. Both of these are chambered for 9, and I also brought the P5 Compact back out for a couple of small points. You saw that in the previous video. We kind of started this relook with the PP, PPK, then the P38, then the P1, PP Super, P5, and here we are at the P88. Many have considered this one of the finest production handguns of that era, and to some extent they're right, and to some extent they're wrong. As I said, this fires 9mm. It is single, double action. It has a steel slide, alloy frame. It does feed from double stack magazines, 15 rounds, and is ambidextrous. The story of the P88 actually begins with the U.S. military's XM9 trials in the early 80s. This was Walther's entry. So the design evolved quite a bit throughout 83, 84, 85. However, this gun was very quickly knocked out. It just was not, honestly, it wasn't far enough along in development. And also, it was just too delicate. On the other hand, P88, or what became known as the P88, proved to be, was very ergonomic and very accurate. Now, the P5C was really the last gun that Walther did using the P38 system. And by that, I mean it has a barrel that doesn't tip. It only moves back and forth a little bit, and it locks with a wedge underneath. But otherwise, it doesn't move. Also, we have dual guide springs, recoil springs on each side. This was kind of the final iteration. It has this combination decocker and slide release, but it's only on the left side, not on the right. This was one of the guns to go to more of a Browning style mag release, but it's not again on the right, and we're still using essentially P38 mags. Yes, they've been modified for the new mag catch, but they're still single stack 8-shot mags. It does have an alloy frame. It is double single action, as all P38 types are. But in other ways, it's still an older design. The P88 was quite a step forward for Walther. They finally went away from the P38 system with the P88 to Browning, or I should say modified Browning style barrel where it tips, so just like a Glock or anything else. We have an alloy frame. As we pointed out, we have a double stack magazine now, nearly double the capacity. They've taken that multi-control from the P5 and they've mirrored it on the right. They've taken the push button mag catch and also mirrored it on the right. It's very CZ or VZ82 style. Pretty neat. We do have a lanyard loop on the bottom. because originally this was potentially designed for military use. This gun weighs a little under 32 ounces. We have a 4-inch barrel, and we're just under 7.5 inches tip to tip, about 7.4 give or take. After the military, the US military, did not even come close to adopting the design, Walther continued to develop it in 1987, releasing it in 1988 as the P88. Some sources say a few came out in 87, some say it actually didn't come till 89, late 80s. Mostly these are sold on the civilian market, both in Europe and America, but some were used by police agencies, including this gun here. Now I'll talk about how I acquired this and the Compact in a storytime video, so I'm not going to reiterate. It's been a long day, guys. But both of these came from Century Arms. This one was surplus out of Israel. It was used over there, presumably by police. I doubt militaries had it over there. And they had about half a dozen come in that batch. They were used, but in overall good shape. It's a fun little shooter. When sold in the late 80s, early 90s in America, these were really expensive. And that's something that hasn't really changed ever. It's an expensive gun to make, even more expensive to buy. Early guns made in '88 had slightly different slide cuts. They also had a dovetailed front sight, and they had a slightly taller rear sight. This was really kind of it never really was finalized. Walther would always make little changes, little tweaks to the design, but it was only in production quite briefly, from '88 till about 1994, with selling off some old stock maybe as late as 95 or 96. These were imported by Inner Arms at the time, who was pretty much bringing in all the Walthers. And there we have it. Great gun, really not terribly successful. Too expensive. Walther did not make many of these. We don't know an exact number, but I've read 10,000 as an estimate, and I'm not even sure if that's only P88s or counting the compacts. Speaking of the compact, let's talk about it. Usually when you have a compact gun, it's meant to be smaller, lighter for carry. This is 29 ounces, so about 3 ounces lighter, a little bit. We're at 7.1 inches, so not even a half inch shorter. And the barrel is actually 3.8 inches. So it's not really much smaller. What they tried to do with this was make the design more economical, cheaper to build, and thus cheaper to sell. They kept the ambidextrous mag. We're still on an alloy frame. The grip's slightly smaller. The mags hold 14 rounds. We have still a double single action trigger. We have a more traditional slide release on the left. Nothing on the right. And we have kind of a P38 style decocker safety on the right and the left. So they went from the multi-control, which was really cool, but pretty precise and had a lot of parts, to 2 separate controls. And we lost a little bit of ambidexterity. You can also tell by the machining of the slide, this was cheapened up a little bit there too. So these were less expensive, but still not terribly successful. What really doomed both of these guns? The P88 Compact appeared in 1992, and it was already out of production by 1996, with them selling off old stock, maybe as late as 2000, who knows. The 1994 assault weapons ban really doomed these guns in America. It doomed a lot of the so-called Wonder Nines, because one of the big pushes was this is the first time people could really find a 15-shot, higher capacity than, let's say, a high-power gun with modern features such as a lightweight frame, double-action trigger, and ambidexterity. But the assault weapons ban meant that any new gun made after September of '94 had to only have a 10-round mag. So the last P88 sold here came with 10-round mags, and actually most of the P88 compacts that came into America, by the time this actually hit our shores, there just wasn't much time. So most of these you find shipped originally with 10-round blocked magazines. This one actually did come with 14-round mags because it was a European commercial sale. When I purchased it off Century, they just had one on an odd lots list, and it did come in its original box with a cleaning rod, and it clearly had not been owned. So it had two 14-round mags. The P88 Compact does lose some of the elegance of the full size. On the other hand, this does have some kind of delicate parts, like the rear sight, and this multi-control can be fidgety if it's worn. To me, the P88C does feel a little sturdier. It's a simpler gun, less to go wrong, a little thicker design. Finish is less glossy, but a little more durable, less prone to scratching. So for a duty gun, it's not bad. This is very analogous to like a Sig Sauer P228 or P229. It's in that size class. It does hold one more round and is a tiny bit smaller, but it's roughly the same size and weight. And that's about it. Aside from a little bit of police use, not much in the way of military, and these were only produced for a few years, less than a decade really. The P88 series is notable too because it was really the final pistols to be designed and produced by Walther when it was still a family-owned and operated company. After this, when we get into the modern era with the P99 and of course new guns like the PPQ, it became more of an invested in company and, you know, stocks and trades and all that stuff. This was kind of the last gasp of the old, but it also shows some new elements. For example, this magazine is extremely similar to the later P99 mag, which itself is used today in a modified form in the PPQ. So there are some elements, and of course the barrel, the 4-inch Browning style barrel is still used today very commonly. The ambidextrous controls are very kind of an iconic part of Walther's guns. So it was the gateway between kind of the old and the new. Not to mention, like I said, these are very accurate and fun guns. Well, that wraps us up, guys, and that gets us back to the P99, which we visited a year or so back. So if you'd like to move forward with Walthers, check out that older video. And if you'd like to move back, like I said, we posted videos on guns like this, the P5 Compact and P4 and the original P38 and all that good stuff. It's all on the playlist for Walthers. I don't know, above, below, beside, I don't know where YouTube puts stuff. If you have any questions or comments or would like to share your own P88s, we'd love to talk or hear about them. If you could, like, share, and subscribe. Also, check out the link to our Patreon page. Any support you might be able to give the channel would be greatly appreciated. And if you can't support us with monies, just, you know, sharing and all that is plenty appreciated. So whatever you can do, we do greatly appreciate and acknowledge. This is Misha, and we will catch you very soon next time.